Hey everybody, good morning. It is Michael from Steelyard here for the latest in the quarantine streams. I am here with Kathleen Walsh from Kathleen Walsh Interiors. Hey Kathleen.
Hi, it's so great to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the fake Airstream. I know we went through some of the backgrounds, and as a New York gal, you still chose the beach.
I'm dying for the beach right now. We're still under quarantine. I need a beach.
I know it. I was on the beach on Sunday, so just to make you a little more jealous here in Florida. So let's start there. Tell me, how are things in New York?
Things in New York, New Yorkers are very resilient people. We're sort of chin up and silver linings. That said, masks for the most part have been really successful here. We just use them, but we're still out and about. We're able to go out and exercise. I'm a runner, so it's been really important to me. And I'm lucky enough to live near Prospect Park in Brooklyn, New York, which is sort of Central Park's little sister. And it's been great for me and especially my kids. They need to get outside, so we've been using it, and that's made a world of difference. And we're ready to, get things going again, but we're very mindful that we're in the middle, really in the epicenter. So we need to be safe, and we're just following it along.
Absolutely, and we don't minimize that at all. We recognize there's different places in the country going through different things, and you guys are in the epicenter. As a former New Yorker, I love Prospect Park. I used to do the Brooklyn Half Marathon all the time.
I was supposed to do it just this past weekend, and I ran it solo anyway. No cheering, no nothing, but I did it.
But you did it. Cheers to you on that. That's awesome. Cool. Let's talk a little bit about your perspective on things as a designer right now, right? The world has changed. And I think, one of the things that is lost in all of this is the concept of touching and feeling. You're in New York. You've got showrooms. We've all been forced into our homes. You still do your design business from home. What's changed, though, with that concept of showrooms and touching and feeling and your interaction with your clients? Tell me what's changed.
I think, I'm on a weekly call with a bunch of other New York design friends, and this was the hardest thing for us to segue to. And I know in other areas of the country, other designers are used to this a little bit more. But for us and our clientele who have the luxury of some major showroom buildings right here within a few minutes of walking or a cab ride, this has been a real shift. So the first thing that I did was really reach out. I have a newsletter that goes out anyway to all of my current clients, past clients, vendors that we work with, and just try to remind them that the industry is really quite strong and quite quick on their feet. And I was happily able to report to them how fast vendors had shifted over to a virtual environment. Super important. It was important for me to be able to communicate that I was still available to sit on a Zoom call and to get on the phone with them and actually talk them through the decisions I was asking them to make. And what I always find my job is, at the end of the day, is I'm that linchpin between the vendor and the end client. So it's really important that I'm able to tell a vendor's story for them. And my clients are fairly busy, so I'm not always able to get them for as much time as I would like. So it wasn't a complete and total rehash of what we normally did. But for clients who were at the point that we needed to specify upholstery and things like that, I saw this coming down the road. So I made sure in the week prior to everybody going onto quarantine, I got them out to a showroom to sit and test a few things.
Yeah.
Not so I could specifically gear them towards one or two items, but so that I asked them, I said, please lock this in your memory, because I'll be able to talk you through whether the next item that I'm going to send to you is soft or firm or whatever. And that was really important.
That's interesting. So you use the word linchpin, conduit, between you and the brand and the client. So as we go forward, here's a really interesting thought coming out of that. What do you need differently or more from those manufacturers, from those brands, to truly be that conduit in a changing world right now, where you may not be in showrooms as much? What do you need from them?
I think what I need from them is A lot of things look really great in photos, but
Mhm.
what I am always trying to match is the right client for the right level of product. So a dining table that looks generally similar can sell at 20,000, 10,000, 5,000, and 2,000. How is it that I'm matching the right product to the client sitting in front of me? And
Mhm.
so if we are not able to have the showrooms right there at our disposal, what I think the vendors what would most be helpful is, I think, some video showing us how is your product actually made to better help me explain the differences. And then the client can make a decision what's right for them.
No, I love that. And education is something we talk a lot about with our manufacturers that we work with is help the designer tell the story. And it sounds like that's what
Exactly.
you're thinking about, right? Is when you present a $10,000 table, how do you communicate that story? So I love that. So let's talk next about the changing world from where you are and where I am, right? So you're in New York, I'm in Florida. I already made the move from New York to Florida, which one day ever. But I think we're seeing a lot of movement out of New York during this time. It may be panic moves, right? But as a designer, what does that mean for you? How do you advise your clients when they're moving to a different region or thinking about moving, and you talk to them about style and other things? Take us through how that works.
Sure. About half of my business are clients who move from the city to either the suburbs, or they're buying a secondary or even a third or fourth house out in the country somewhere. The approach to how they may have addressed their apartment and what was important there is entirely different from what's important as soon as you leave the city. The considerations are many, but the primary ones are square footage. So what your money is able to buy in one real estate market is never the same as the other. And at first, especially if you're going from a higher priced urban market like any of our major cities across the country out to an area where you're getting more square footage for your dollar, it's like joy. Whoa, yay, great. We get the front porch, and we're getting the backyard, and we're getting that bonus room. And I think what people sometimes forget is the second half of it, which is now you got to furnish it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
sure.
not every area of that house, like in your city digs where you may have less square footage, you might just say, yeah, this is our general quality and price point that we're comfortable with at this point in our life stage. If they've got young kids, that's different. If you are, an empty nester, it's different if you're a single person, or, aging in place. All of those scenarios are very, very different. And it's that same consideration, but it's really explaining to someone, well, okay, you bought the 5 or 6 or 10,000 square foot home. That's great. Now we've got to multiply that out for all your furnishings, and that's usually where their jaw drops a little bit.
Sure.
So it's important that
You get to work with such a bigger space. You get to advise them on all sorts of things. That's great.
it's an entirely different set. It's two halves of my brain. And the reason that I love having clients half in the city and half outside the city is it's two completely different problems.
Sure.
In the city, it's how do you use every last square inch, and outside the city is what do I do with all these extra rooms? It's a hard problem to have.
Well, I think, Kathleen, this conversation's been great and educational for so many reasons, but, talking to you versus folks, like Bauer Clifton I talked to in Alaska who don't have
Right.
and the needs you've got now, and there's real challenges, but it's been great. So we are really excited about fall market. It was announced this morning that that's been extended to 9 days, October 13th to the 21st. So you are eager to be back at High Point Market, I'm sure.
I am.
What do you think?
Wait, so how's it going to work? So it's to spread everybody out, I imagine.
It's to spread everybody out. It's going to be phased into 4 parts, but it's going to be 9 days long. So the opportunity
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, makes people feel safe.
I love it.
Right? So It really does ease people back into a major market. But
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there is I know in other areas of the country that weren't affected as much, it's not really something a lot of people are questioning, but for a lot of people going to your market come from my region, and we're a little nervous, you know,
Sure.
understandably. We want to get back, definitely, but that's super helpful. That's a great idea.
I think it'll be great. So I'm so excited to talk to you today. Thank you. And folks can find you at Kathleen Walsh Interiors.
That's correct.
All right.
On
Good.
Instagram at Kathleen D. Walsh.
Kathleen D. Walsh. Fantastic. I'm so glad you joined me today. And we'll have to do this again in the Airstream in high.
Would love that. Okay. Thanks so much, Michael.
Cheers to you. Thanks.